Hello everyone. This is a Memoir 44 scenario I've recently designed and that I've been wanting to share with you. It's called, it's based on Operation Nordwind, which was the final German offensive in the West. It's not very well known because it was kind of a follow-up of the Battle of the Bulge, which is, of course, very well known. But it makes for a very interesting scenario. The scenario is actually took the D-Day landings expansions as an example, so it's kind of loosely based on that. That is the mechanics that the scenario applies. And so it's basically two breakthrough boards side by side. What you can see here is the end of the scenario. The Allies won by 26-21. Actually, only 24 points are needed, but I completed the full American turn, and they scored 2 more victory medals. Obviously, ways to score victory medals for both sides are to destroy enemy units as usual, but the Germans win a sudden death if they either capture the town of Saverne here. In reality, capturing the town of Saverne would maybe not just the town itself, but anyway, it symbolizes that. Would have opened up the Saverne gap for the German armored units, and they would have probably been able to make a breakthrough. And anyway, that's a sudden death victory condition for the Germans. Either side needs to have 24 victory medals, but this is an alternative for the Germans. And another alternative is to control all other temporary victory medals in towns. For instance, is the town of Hagenau, which is worth 2 victory medals. This is the town of Singling, which is worth 1, and many of the other ones, for instance, Wingen-sur-Moder, is worth 2 victory medals as well, but it's currently German occupied, so they actually have it, and so that's the other way to do it. Another feature this scenario has is a heavy tank destroyer. This is a Jagdtiger, and it basically combines the regular Memoir 44 tank destroyer rules with the Tiger rules. So it acts as a tank destroyer, but the main difference is that it is targeted as if it were a Tiger, so a heavy tank. That's the main difference. These units that you see here, I've actually used some toy soldiers because they actually fit in nicely. These are SS mountain troops, and they function as regular special troops, but they are better at mountain warfare. For instance, normally mountain offers a cover of 2, that is, the attacker reduces their dice by 2, but if they are attacked by these mountain troops, the dice are only reduced by 1. So they're better at mountain fighting. So this is most of what I've wanted to say. Each breakthrough map comes with its own deck of breakthrough cards, and the winter combat cards are also used in this scenario. And I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out, and if you'd like to try it, well, you can find it on the Days of Wonder website, www.memoir44.com, and it's called, believe it or not, but I've actually forgotten the actual name of it. It's called let me just double check that quickly, because of course it is something you would like to know. It's called Bloodstained Snow. Bloodstained Snow. And there are 2 maps. This is the left map, which is how you can find it as well, and this is the right map. You basically need to combine the 2 to create this full map. Is there anything else worth showing? Well, here I have a couple of special American infantry. I also use toy soldiers for that. I also use some HBG units, historical board gaming units, here. And as you can see, the mortars are also toy soldiers. It makes it easier to distinguish. The badge works just fine, but they stand out more, and I actually like using them. Here's a machine gunner, for instance. Then I've used an American machine gunner. Here are some HBG tanks that you can see, 2 Panzer IVs to be exact, but they just function as regular tanks. I have Tiger tanks as well, but this time I played it. I didn't roll any, so none of them actually entered the board. Here we have an American bazooka. That's perhaps interesting to show. Here's an American mortar team. And here are some HBG tank destroyers. Well, anyway, so it was a pretty tight scenario. Oh yeah, one more thing I should mention perhaps. Another way for the Germans not to win necessarily, but what they can do is they can exit the board from this hex, and for each unit exited, they get 2 points. Many people say, why would I want to exit a unit if I can actually still use it? Well, obviously, one reason might be because the unit is severely weakened, and leaving it in play would only get it eliminated. So that's the reason. But, you know, an additional reason, of course, in this scenario is to exit it because you will get 2 points for it. So it's certainly worthwhile. This is the River Rhine and a pontoon bridge the Germans can build, one of the special rules. And yeah, basically, it's really important for the Americans to defend this line because otherwise the Germans might exit lots of units very quickly, which will also grant them lots of victory points. It won't be an instant win as the capture of Saverne would be, or even all of the other towns, but it's definitely something the Americans need to take into account. It's not difficult for the Americans to, well, I wouldn't say it's not difficult, but probably they'll manage if they put a lot of force to that task to keep the Germans from exiting many units here. But at the same time, they will have to make sure that Saverne isn't captured. For instance, what's it called? Behind enemy lines card can very quickly get an enemy at your doorstep, and if you're not prepared for it, well, who knows, you might just lose the game altogether. And at the same time, you have to protect all these other towns and villages. So and the funny thing is, in this scenario, the last time I played it, which you can see here now, is the front line is actually pretty much as it was historically by the end of the battle. This is Wingen. Well, they were actually pushed back from it, but this is more or less where the Germans were. Actually, they made it to the river, so here we still have some Americans which are still in front of the river, north of the river. But yeah, anyway, a very enjoyable scenario, so I hope you do want to try it out, and if you do, please leave a battle report there. Thank you for watching.